Hey everybody, it's What's Up Wednesday. I am here, sorry, a couple minutes late, but about an hour early because I have to take my daughter back to the pediatric dentist. I know last week I was in here telling you guys to trust your gut because we had just been to get our tongue and lip tie revised, which was not awesome, but we're making through it. But today we have our follow-up appointment, so I have to get in the car for an hour. And we'll be driving at 1 o'clock. So here we are today at noon, and today I just wanted to talk quickly about baby budgets. Money is never a super fun topic, mainly because kids are expensive, but this is something that I think you definitely don't want to overlook because being a new mom is so super stressful. There are so many things that you can't control, but budgeting is one of the things that you can control. So while you can't control, the current economic situation, if you've lost your job, what's going on with any of that, you can make a plan for all of your baby budgeting needs. So I really strongly encourage everybody to make a baby budget and think about some of these questions that I'm going to talk to you about before your baby gets here, because it will alleviate so much stress down the road. So one of the things that is the most important thing to think about is to create this baby budget financial plan and ask yourself the hard questions. Are you going back to work after your baby arrives? So that is a huge income change. If you're going from 2 incomes to 1 income, that's something that you're going to need to take into account. If you don't plan to go back, can you survive on just 1 income? And the best way to do that is to make a full-blown budget. And I have a spreadsheet that I'm going to link in the comments in case you guys are spreadsheet people. I'm a super spreadsheet nerd. So I created an entire spreadsheet, and I have one in there for calculating maternity leave, etc. And I'll make sure that you have access to that if you want it. But if not, you can just listen to these tips and that will help too. If you're not going back to work, or even if you are, you do want to start thinking about what are the discretionary expenses that you can cut out to make room for some of the baby things that you're going to be purchasing. So a lot of the stuff is going to naturally fall out. So, pre-COVID life, you probably, even with a new baby, wouldn't be going out to eat as much or doing some of those things. Your body's going to be changing a bunch. So you might be buying some maternity clothes, some new clothes after your baby's born, but you're not going to want to buy a ton or maybe do as much shopping. So there's going to be some discretionary expenses that are going to just naturally fall out, but start thinking about what you can cut to make that process more seamless. And then you need to plan your expenses. So now that you've decided what your income is going to look like, look at how you're spending your money. And the biggest change to your financial situation is going to be childcare. So childcare will be the single largest expense now that we will have 2 in daycare very shortly. That line item in our budget is actually going to be as much as our mortgage payment. So yeah, that's fun. That's something that you need to think about, is the cost of reliable childcare is a lot. So make sure that you factor that in when you're making your new budget for post-baby. You can set a budget for new additions like diapers or formula or any of the other expenses that you need for your baby. Build in a line so that you're not forgetting about that, because now you have this whole other person that you're going to be supporting in your budget. And then you need to go and revisit your budget. So if you've already created one, which is great, I'm again super nerd. We've been tracking our budget and our expenses for years and years. But we had to totally redo everything once we had to add in that childcare line item. So go back and look and see where you can start to cut. So again, naturally, things like dining out might start going down. Like entertainment, I don't know if people are still going to movie theaters, but things like that will naturally start to decline. But you can also start slashing left and right now to make it a little less challenging once your baby arrives. So depending on your family and your lifestyle, food is also a really great place to cut. If you're eating out a lot because you're not meal planning, starting to meal plan, doing things like that can be a really good way to start cutting down on your expenses and just really revisiting your budget and seeing what's realistic now that you expect to have a baby. You can also start to look for other ways to grow your income, because expenses are one side of the equation, income is the other. You know, beyond if you're going down to one income, that's obviously a decline in income, but you could also look at growing your income, taking on a part-time job, taking on a side hustle. I'm not going to talk a ton about all that now, but those are just other ways that you can bolster, the new financial changes that are going to happen once you have this baby. And then you also want to think about longer term expenses. So you're going to have this new addition, you're going to have a new baby budget, you're going to have probably childcare of some sort. And then once you've kind of factored all that in, it's easy to think about, okay, this is the day to day, but also what happens long term. So that might mean a 529, which is a college savings account. So if you're planning on saving for your baby's college, that's something else that you're going to want to factor in to your financial situation. And again, obviously retirement. So personal finance is personal, but my advice is always, save for your retirement first. You can't take out a loan for retirement. You can take out a loan for college, and you also don't know what the college, situation is going to look like in 20 years when your baby is, ready to go there. So anyway, I would recommend doing both. So think about long-term expenses, but don't shortchange yourself. So don't shortchange your retirement accounts. Definitely start thinking about that. So that's something that should go back into your, financial must-dos as you're planning for the baby. And then I think it's also really important to think about the changes you can make now. So, you don't want this to be a drastic change, a drastic shift. Anywhere you can cut your bills now, like it's always a good practice to call up your utilities or call up your credit card company and get your interest rate reduced, or shop around for insurance. Do that, every couple years. Like cable companies always have new packages that are available. Make sure that you're staying on top of that, because those bills can just kind of creep up on you. And making those adjustments now are just going to give you a little bit more cushion. And then also, making sure that you can ease yourself into that new budget. So if you start having restrictions on things like shopping or discretionary clothes, start making those little changes now so it's just not quite so painful. So I think for me, those are the 5 like must-dos. I have, my spreadsheet that I'll link below. I also have a video available that kind of can walk you through it. If you really want that, just send me an email and I will make sure you get that. But it's important for me, for the financial must-dos, for you to understand that you need to start creating this plan now, because it's one of the biggest stressors. Obviously, money is one of the biggest stressors in general. It's also one of the biggest causes of fights between spouses or significant others. So making that plan now is just going to make it so much easier down the road. And especially if you're taking unpaid maternity leave, or you're going to be changing in your financial situation, make that plan now. Ask yourself those hard questions about what is your financial picture going to look like, and then really planning out your expenses. I think those things just alleviate so much stress down the road. So I'm going to pop that link in the comments in case you want some more details on this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, shoot me an email. I'm happy to help. I'm super passionate about personal finance and making sure that you are happy and healthy, because when you're happy and healthy, your baby's happy and healthy, and nobody wants to be stressed out about money. So hope that was helpful, and I will see you guys next week on What's Up Wednesday. All right, have a good one.